Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today card 1 in my stamp set series featuring Lawn Fawns, just plain awesome stamp set. I am doing some no line coloring today. I'm using my ohuhu bullet nib markers. Those colors were on the screen for you if you are interested in them. I will try to remember to put them in my blog post, but there are no promises. It's been busy. I plan on getting a few more done for this stamp set series. I don't have anything made currently, so I don't know when these will drop. They'll probably drop within the next 2 months. It might be a little bit more of an extended stamp set series. I want to get the Sledding By stamp set series done and a few others. So I did come in with my lightest tone of blue here just to kind of outline where my plane is, follow those very faint markings. I used either Lawn Fawn's Jellyfish ink for this one or Ink on 3's Fade Out ink. I don't remember which one I stamped it in. One of the two, that's all I know. Do I have a preference? Not really when it comes to alcohol ink markering. When I use the zigs, I kind of like the Ink on 3 Fade Out because it kind of, I think it picks up a little bit more pigment on that line and blends in. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I've noticed that with the Ink on 3 a little bit more with the zigs. With these, not so much. I don't feel like I get that in, a little bit more concentrated pigmental. I don't know how to explain it. I think the Ink on 3 one kind of picks up a pigment tone in the watercolor or the zigs, where with these I think it doesn't really matter. So I'm just I did leave that little first bit there in real time. It's a slow process, hence why I'm only doing one of these on screen. I did speed this part up to 8.08 times real speed, and so if that helps you, understand the process of this one. It takes a while to do no line coloring, but it was fun, and sometimes I like to do no line coloring or just coloring in general to relax or, just kind of, it's my unwind time. So by doing no line coloring, I could add in some colored bands there for his aviator glasses, and then of course coming in with some purple for his little scarf there. And then I did leave in a couple of how I do the faces on them. So I do bring in the stamp set to look at to kind of show me where things were supposed to be, as you saw there. The other thing is leaving it in your stamp lamp form and coming back in and selectively inking as I'm doing there to just kind of give me a better place where the face. I suck at faces, I'm not going to lie, and that's probably my least favorite thing about no line coloring is I have to usually add in the faces. So for these, I actually went in and just kind of hand selectively took my fine liner and painted the place on the stamp and then stamped the face on them, and that worked fairly well for most of them. But of course, because this one I had pulled out stamps and stamped it multiple times because I wanted a bunch of the same mouse in the airplane image, I did have to do some of those freehand. It happens, but they turned out all right. I am going to come in with my Jelly Glaze black pen here and add the shiny noses and the shiny little eyes that were open. And yes, sometimes that little mouse there kind of turned into a koala with his big black shiny nose. I don't know if I let it dry and pick it off. That's the only way to kind of fix when you mess up with the Jelly Roll glaze pen, is if you let it dry all the way. You can sometimes scrape it off with a craft knife and reapply. Yeah, it happens. So I'm kind of laying out, I don't know at this point what I'm planning on making, but I did do 4 of the same images there because I want to make a set of cards for my siblings. It's been a rough few months, and I figured they needed a little bit of Jaime love. So I wanted to do 4 that were the same. Now, I didn't color enough images, and I will show you how I get around this, because I really hadn't picked out much more than I wanted to do the pilot in the paper airplane. It has significant meaning to me and maybe to my siblings as well. And so I'm inking up my panels. I am using, as you can see, it's got that lovely pull out of the bookmark there from my ohuhu marker pad. I bought the biggest marker pad ohuhu had. I think it's like 17 by 12 or something like that. It's ginormous. It makes for awesome backgrounds. Like, it blends like butter on the background of this one. It's okay for coloring on. I have been coloring on it haphazardly with my ohuhus. I still don't like it as much as my Xpress It cardstock. The Xpress It just is paramount to me for alcohol ink markering. But this one blends like butter, a lot like Bristol Smooth, at least when it comes to blending oxide inks on it. And so it's a cheap alternative to me for that Bristol Smooth cardstock. And so I use it for that. And then I am just coming in with the same. I smushed both of my ink colors on my block. I'm adding in some Brutus Monroe aqua pigments in Frost. I think I did the violet frost on this one. So when it dries, it has a little bit of a purple sheen to it. And then I will do all 4 of my panels the same way, set them off to the side to dry. These cards took me multiple days to finish. A lot of times when I'm busy, I do steps, and then I will come back to it when I have a little bit more time. So for this one, I let them dry, and then I die cut out each panel with I want to say the largest stitched rectangle from Fawn. I don't think these ones had a border on it. I think they were full panels, yes. So it's the largest rectangle stack from Fawn, which will give you a full A2 size front. And then for my first one here, I'm just trying to decide what to do. Now, I bought the Scripty, or like the just plain awesome like sentiment trails to go with, but I wanted my word to be super big on this one because I wanted that to kind of be, the focal of my card is to be that mouse pilot in the airplane and then the love ya. So that was like my focal of the whole panel. And so I decided to bring in the Scripty Sentiments from Fawn. And then I'm gonna, for my first one here, I inked it up in Versa Fine, or Versa Mark ink, and then I'm going to use, I kind of went back and forth which one I wanted to use, but I do end up using the purple, I think this one was Villainous Potion in the mica, or the embossing glaze from Tim Holtz, and it gives that, beautiful deep purple color there, and then it gives that raised shiny look as well. And then I will do that so I'm going to build the first one first. This is how I usually do multiple cards. I will build one and then I kind of go from there. So once I've figured out one step, so I did all of my backgrounds. They're all a little bit different. They're not exactly the same because they're ink blended. And so I do each one of those, and then, so it's like creating in, I don't know, in parts to make the whole. I don't know if that makes sense. It does to me. Anyways, so I did decide to pop up my little mouse here, since he is my focal image on my panel. So I will remove the double-sided adhesive and then add him onto the top. And of course, my camera died. So I have him placed there. I am happy with where he's at, but now I need to decide on the rest of my panel. So I didn't know how many, but usually I like to work in 3s. So hence why, or 3s or 5s, like odd numbers just tend to be more pleasing to the eye. I don't know, at least in my thought. But I like to decorate in triangles. It's just, I think it was like one of those things that I learned in school, that in art class, something about triangles and how it brings your eye in. I don't know. Anyways, so that's kind of how I, especially on something like this, which to me this one was like super clean and simple because it's not like 5,000 images and it's not super busy. So I brought in those trails there to stamp on my background to kind of, you know, go with that love you one, but be a little bit more subtle. So I did kind of go back and forth between my ink colors. I did settle on the Stormy Sky one. And then for my other one here, I'm going to do the same thing. So I don't have my planes. Do I have my planes? I might have my planes already taped down. So I'm going to bring in my second panel here. Now, I'm done with the first one for the most part. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp all of the trails on the rest of my panels. I'm just being selective on how I'm doing my inking here so I don't hit that love ya, except for, you know. Now, I don't have enough of the planes already colored and cut out. Like, and I really didn't want to go back and do a whole lot of no line coloring. It takes me forever. And I was kind of time crunching. So I'm just using some Distress Oxide in Chipped Sapphire to add my planes directly to my background. And this way I can just put some of this on my glass mat here, add a little bit of water and a paintbrush, and do some no line coloring right on my background piece. Now, do you see there's a little dark blue swirl up in the middle of my, yeah, I hit it with my ink pad. But no fear, in the end, it ends up being, yeah, that's when I noticed it. I was like, oh, shoot. It ends up working out fine in the end. I just ended up doing a little bit different on this one than I did the other one. It just worked. So I will do that with the rest of my panels as I go here. I am going to add this one because I was afraid that I had wrecked the whole panel. And so before I go any further, I am coming in with that dark purple Villainous Potion there, and I'm going to stamp it in the Villainous Potion just to kind of cover up that blue. Now, I could have just gone over it with the clear embossing powder, but I'm going to bring in that Villainous Potion embossing powder as well, and then I will just heat set over that. And then all I have to do for this panel yet is to add in my key or my main image on. And then I will repeat that process with the last two panels on this one. This is an easy way, or once you do your original one, you can kind of modify it to make it a little bit easier to do duplicates. And that's why stamping those other less important images right on the panel saved me time in the long run. And so therefore, you know, I could get 4 cards done, and I actually got these out and in the mail in a timely manner. So once they were all done, I popped them onto an A2 card base, stamped my sentiments on the inside, and got them in the mail. I know, it's a miracle. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing day. Keep getting inky. Make sure to like, subscribe, all of those things. It helps the channel to grow. Bye!